everyone. Welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup. We are getting down to the nitty gritty. Only 4 rounds left. We are in round 14. This is episode 17 of the 25-26 EuroCup season. This is David Hein of Hein News taking the charge Substack. And with me, breaking it all down, is Marco Munno, communication specialist and collaborator with La Giornale Tipo. Marco, how are you?
Well, it's fine. It's been a fun round, some kind of finish of the season or maybe games of the season. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we have 2 teams qualified for the playoffs now. Jerusalem joined Borg. 2 teams eliminated, Hamburg and Panionios. Group A, 3 teams, Cluj, Reyer, Manresa, are all at 8 and 6 with 2-game leads on Neptunus and Aris. So getting close to that, Manresa being in the 6th place. So that is getting a little bit closer to being decided. Group B, still between 5 and 8. There's only 3-game difference. Trento down to London, 8 and 6 to 5 and 9. So Group B still has plenty to be decided. Hamburg is still waiting for the first victory of the season. I think we need to go back and look and see how many teams have finished winless. I think we need to look for that. Maybe I'll do that for next week. And as always, we'll break down 3 teams, 2 games, and 2 players each, a game and 2 players each. But I did want to just throw out there a couple of moves that have been made. We're getting down to to the final part of the season. We saw, and I'll just throw them out there, and you could kind of, mention whichever one you think is the most important. Costas Antetokounmpo goes to Aris, Brandon Taylor to Panionios, Will Cherry to Borg, Polycap to Manresa. And one thing that may people might not realize is Ugoak going to Chemnitz, and he's the one I'll talk about in a second. But and then the big one is Besiktas saying, "Hey boys, come on over. You're gonna have to beat us." This is a clear message to Jerusalem, bringing in Matt Thomas and Sertak Chanley. Big time moves. I imagine that's the one you want to talk about. Go for that.
Well, I think Besiktas is really making an impact into the court and kind of off the court with these moves. And we will talk about it later. But they got the big match against Berg, and they well, we can say they win. So they're 2-0 with Berg into the season. They're fighting for the top spot in the group B. And not only that, but they're just saying that, okay, we're good now, we're very good now, but we want to be good in the future, because they had a new big man, but they got an already huge front court. They got a new shooter, but they got an already good backcourt. So they really had the experience and not just raw talent. And I think they can be both a great addition to the whole team.
This is them saying, look, we want 2 championships this year. We want Turkish League and we want EuroCup. We want to play, and I'm sure that they said to these guys, to Shanley and Thomas, look, you're in the EuroLeague next year if you help us win this thing. So I wanted to just mention Aguak with Chemnitz. He's a guy who was actually close to he was kind of being rumored to go to EuroLeague teams last season with Chemnitz, and then suffered an ACL injury last year in February and missed the rest of the season. And this game he played in the game, and I'll talk about this game later. This was his first game of the season. He was out for 11 months So this is a big addition for them. It's a guy who'd been with their team, Canadian, South Sudanese, and just a real menace for that team. They lost Ty Brewer, and okay, he's a different player, but he definitely helps out on the defensive side. All right, let's get into the games. You want to talk about the game? Bahcesehir at home against Manresa. Manresa goes and grabs the victory, 5 wins in the last 6 games, 96-8, 96-92 in Turkey, 8-6 now for Manresa. Bahcesehir 9-5, only 4-3 at home. The Spaniards gave up a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, but managed to hold on. What do you think?
Well, in the last episode, I said that I was closely looking for this game, and the game did not disappoint. Maybe it's one of the games of the season because you can see the result at the end, or you can see the result at the halftime, in which Manresa was really controlling the game, and the lead also grew up into the third quarter. It's like when you see at the beginning of the third quarter that is plus 17, you think the game is over. And the game is over with Manresa's kind of in control, in full control from the second quarter. And they're really in a huge streak right now. And also winning at the Bahcesehir court is really making a statement about your possibility, not really for the win, but to be a really scary dark horse. At least they can throw out some favorites along the way, and then in the fourth quarter, kind of everything changes because Bahcesehir started to um score and score and to defend, and then Malachi Flynn happens into last
Malachi
four
Flynn
minutes.
happened. I was going to say that too.
Yeah, in 4 minutes, 4 minutes last 4 minutes of the game, he started to bury triples. He had four, and thing is that he had a 4 point play,
With a 4 point play too, exactly.
and that was really launching Başakşehir. So he shift the game into the Turkish side that was really into one, and then he had another very important triple, 40 seconds to the end, 47 seconds to the end, and Başakşehir was really up. So they really completed the from minus 17 to go up from 92 90. So they went up for 2 points, and that lead lasted 7 seconds because you go to the other way, and then the other guy that we talked about in the last episode, Obaswan, had another important dribble from from the center. They had into the pick and roll. It was really a bit confusing because they went into in transition and the defender went down, and so
Flynn,
he
Flynn
wasn't.
went under.
Yeah, when under, it was really not really so in equilibrium, but he managed to score, and then you can see the whole build. You can listen the whole building being like so loud when when Malachi Flynn um, scored his triple, and in 7 seconds he kind of shut down everything because Mareza took the lead again. Then you got free throws, and then the ending score. So it was really fun to watch the fourth quarter, and at the end you can see that really Manresa is really hard to play against as for now, and they also had Cup in the center when we are saying like new people, and they're also reshaping a bit because they had raw power, raw athleticism with Polycap, and they lost Grant Golden, who's more of a first pass center, or at least soft touches. So they're really reshaping a bit after adding a lot of people along the way. Oriola, Brooks. So they're really changing a lot, but they're changing for good, as the results are saying.
Listen, Manresa is not done. They're at 8-6, and they're tied with Cluj and Reyer. Lost at Cluj, at Reyer, play at home against those two teams still, are 5-1 at home, one game up are Cedevita and Bahcesehir, and they hold the tiebreaker with Cedevita and then also have this victory. They don't have the tiebreaker with Bahcesehir, but they do have a victory over Bahcesehir. So if they get into a tiebreak situation with Bahcesehir, they do have a victory over Bahcesehir to get it. So they're in sixth right now, and let's just play that situation out right now. Let's say Borg Besiktas take 1-2. Right now, Buducnost Turk Telekom at 3, having to face Manresa in the first round of the playoffs. Not something I want to do. So this Manresa team is not done. So a thrilling stretch thrilling situation for Manresa down the stretch. Another team that's really had been cruising for a while is Trento. Trento came up with a 88-87 victory over Panionios. Trento at 8-6 have won 5 of the last 6 games. They lost last week. Panionios, we said last week. I said last week. I said, listen, new coach, new players. This is not a team I want to face, and Trento almost got hit with it. Trento, they looked control. They were up by 19 points late in the first half, but they were down in the third quarter. The final 4 minutes of this game, go back and watch this game. And the final 4 minutes, the biggest lead was 1 point. There was 7 lead changes in the final 4 minutes. So, Panionios is ahead, and final possession. So Cruiser gets the basket with 19 seconds. Final possession, Stewart misses. Aldridge couldn't get his tip in, but the ball lands at Khalif Battle, releases it just in time for the win. Trento survive. Stewart with 16, Devontae Jones 11 and 8 assists. Battle finishes with 10. Georgios Samporas with 19 points. Joe Thomason with 17 and 8 assists. Again, this Panionios team, they're long gone. No chance for the playoffs. But spoilers now. Watch. I mean, this is not a team that I want to be facing right now, because they are playing with house money. All these guys right now, they're all playing for for contracts too. Saying, let's, if I can show that I can play really well in the EuroCup, I can get a bigger contract for next year. So they have Turk Telekom next week. Turk Telekom, London, Lietkabelis, and Besiktas. So London, Turk Telekom, you're facing a team that you don't necessarily want to face. All right, let's go to the big game. You want to talk about Ante Zizic, Besiktas' big man. Besiktas pulled down the 103-99 victory at Bourg. Bourg 11-3. 11-3, 10-4 is Besiktas, 3-4 on the road, 2-0. You mentioned it over Bourg. Zizic 26 points, 4 rebounds. So go for that.
Yeah, we already said that Berg against Besiktas was really one game to watch that did not disappoint. It was also really a close game. And in the first half, mostly in the first half, it was the Zizic game, because he scored 20 of his 26 points into the first half, and he was kind of perfect from the field. He ended with 26, and at the beginning, he was really giving the big option. He was the go-to guy for Besiktas to resist to Berg, who we remember his main force is the defense. So, and he was really ready to punish the defense. And when the season started, there was kind of at 5 we have Zizic and Kamagate, who can really fight. We think they can really fight for the spot. They're really different kind of players. Kamagate is more physical, more raw power, and instead Zizic has got more soft touches, good hands. But building up the season, Zizic is really making a point to be one of the maybe one of the MVP candidates for the whole for the whole regular season, and he was the MVP of this round. Is one of the three players that was really able to be the MVP of a round more than once. He was already the MVP into the round nine, and as for now, he's established like Besiktas is really strong into the center, and they had another player that can really help him, who's Sully, who can play alongside him. So they can really have people that can fight, that is big, and has got good hands, and he can be a bit of a four next to a 4-5 like Stanley. So I think he's established himself as a driving force into the Besiktas team, and when it matters the most against against Berg in a high scoring game, he was really really important into the beginning, and he was also not the guy that wants the ball at the end, uh, being also a team player. So at the end, Besiktas was really winning, and it was really important.
Um, so let's stick to the Besiktas part real quick. So um, they're, what did we say, 10-4, right? Yeah, 10-4 in the league, in the Euro Cup, and 13-2 in the league. And we can talk about all the accolades that Thomas and Shanley have. And they're both so veteran players. Shanley is what, 34? Yeah, 34, and 31 is Thomas. And you just have to. Besiktas is rolling, right? And so you just have to wonder just a little bit how easily they're going to be incorporated into the. I don't think it's going to be a problem because these guys are veterans and they've always played with high level teams. So actually, Thomas was with Granada until now. Stanley was with Dubai, but EuroLeague teams. Thomas with Panionios, and then Alba Berlin, and Shanley, obviously, everything that he's been on. So that's the one thing that you just have to question a little bit. On the other hand, on the other side, you kind of have to just shake your head at sort of the offensive meltdown by Borg at the end of this game. Um, the game was, they were up by one. Borg was up by one. McGee slipped on the center circle sticker, and it created and left the ball for, I can't remember who it was, layup, and then Besiktas took the lead. Kokila, offensive foul on the very next possession, and then McGee down 1 point. Misses a tough lefty layup, but it's something that he's made. Arslan, very good defense. And then it was still 99-101. They got the ball back on a defensive rebound miscue by Besiktas, and then McGee throws the ball, the baseline inbounds pass over the head of Egi, for a backcourt violation, to miss out on the chance to maybe tie the game or win the game. So some poor execution down the stretch for Borg that I'm sure Coach Fota is not exactly pleased about. All right, let's move to my guy. I'd been talking about how Thomas Kennedy is one of the, in my opinion, actually probably the most important player for Cedevita, especially because of all of the guard wing play that they have. And in order to compete, Cedevita is going to need help in their big man situation. And they got a super strong performance by David Skara in Cedevita's 104-85 victory over Neptunus. Holding Neptunus to only 85 points is actually pretty solid. Cedevita 9-5, Neptunus at 6-8. Neptunus slowly starting to fall out of the playoff situation, as we mentioned earlier. Um, uh, as we mentioned earlier, they are 2 games behind that trio of games. Skara, power forward, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 28 PIR. The Croatian enjoys playing against Neptunus, had 17 points in the first game against Neptunus back in late October. And this was a big bounce back game for Skara too. He had 0 points in 24 minutes in that Bahcesehir loss last week, where I think it was 59 points they scored, and basically it was only Umaja Gibson and Alexei Nikolic who scored, and so Skara had a donut in 24 minutes. So him coming back and giving them 16 points, 4 rebounds, 8 rebounds and 4 assists was a pretty big message. And Kennedy's going to need some help, and if Skara could do that, that would definitely be a help. Let's move on to your other guy that you want to talk about, and Carl Wheatle for Umana Reyer Venice. The Italians take down Slask, the crashing Slask, that is. Reyer 8-6. Slask now down to 4-10. Wheatle with a career night, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. So I'll let you go with that.
Yeah, Venice is really close to into the race of the playoff spot to gain his one into the Group A, and we will see later when we will see the schedule for the next round. That is will be really thrilling, and Wheatle was really important to crush the hopes of Slask, and basically he's getting to be really important now that Jordan Park is out for an injury, and he's able to give something in the defensive side, about versatility, about energy, and he proved that he can really score at this level, because when now Parks is out and also Valentine is not really productive every game in the offensive side. Bowman didn't play some games along the stretch, but really, so they can really struggle on the perimeter. Instead, Carl Whittle is giving from the bench at least, uh, with the choosing that Spaya had on the beginning to have him from the bench. He proved that even if he don't belong to the usual starting five, he can really be effective on both sides. So he can bolster the defense, he can bolster the offense, and he had that career game we can say against Lask, in which he showed that he can be really important on both sides, and you can see his improvement on the offensive one, because he was not really the scorer at this level. Instead, he had 19 points. He was not the only guy who had 19 points, because it was also against Lask. We had also like Lever in 19 points in 16 minutes. So he's really was really off the charts, uh, in points for minutes, basically. But really, Whittle is more than a bench guy as for now. And if Venice will go on in the competition, he's really established himself as a guy that can really also changed the game from the bench. That is another leap in his career that he didn't have as for now. He's really taking profit of the absence of Jordan Parks, and he's really, as for now, more than an alternative.
I think last week I talked about Nikolic, or if not last week, the week before. If I'm Coach Bahia, the one thing I'm looking forward, or I'm really happy about right now, this last 3 game stretch, is that guys are stepping up. You don't have Parks, you don't have Bowman, but you have Nikolic playing well. You have Horton monster games the last 3 games. Wheatle's playing well. Candy stepped up in his minutes as well. So that's probably what I'm most happy about if I'm Reyer fan, or in the organization, is that even though these guys we really rely on, I think they were the third and fourth leading scorers, Parks and Bowman respectively. Even though these guys aren't there, these other guys are stepping up and are basically filling their shoes, and we're still right there in it. I mean, they're you look at it, they're a game behind. They're a game from second place in the league. In the group. So yeah, Reyer. Congrats on them. They're another hot team. So a team that going over to the other group in Group B, a team on the outside looking in at the playoffs is Ulm. They had lost 6 the last 7, and then huge victory, 88-76 over Chemnitz, German derby, to improve to 6-8. Chemnitz down to 7-7. Chemnitz had won 4 straight, and with Justin Simon steal and dunk in the final 5 seconds or so, that gave them the tiebreaker over Chemnitz. So the Ulm is at 6-8, Chemnitz is at 7-7, and then Trento is at 8-6. So that's a double victory for Ulm. And a guy that I want to talk about is Alec Anigbata. So we've been talking about all the kids. Tobias Jensen, Diego Garvaglia, even 17-year-old Teo Milicic, Mohamed Diakate. But we haven't really talked about Anigbata. But he'd been out since round 11, and he's a big part of that team. He's only 21. So you look at Jensen, he's only 21. So is Anigbata. And he came in, he had a protective mask, and it was a lot bigger than the other masks that you usually see. So because it was blocking his mouth, because he had to protect his jaw and his teeth. He got hit in the face a couple weeks ago, and had been out since round 11. 32 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 of those offensive rebounds, plus 2 blocks. Massive part of that defense is Anigbata. He's averaging 3.8 points, 1.5 rebounds, but in the last 4 games, it's 7.8 points, almost 8 points, more than 3 rebounds a game, plus a block a game in the last 4. He's a kid who last year actually put his name in the draft for 2025, but withdrew it. And his stock is actually rising because of the performance that he does. He does all the small stuff. He does all the dirty stuff. Munich born, played for Bayern Munich, and then came over to Ulm. Twin brother Lenny is playing in Ludwigsburg. So Anigbata, with him coming back, and also one last thing on this is that Ulm was able to do this without Mark Smith. Mark Smith got hurt the day before the practice, night before the game, and wasn't able to go. So Alec Anigbata is my guy. Anything else you want to talk about for round 14 before we move on to round 15?
Well, we already said that Jerusalem has now the mathematical is sure to be into the playoffs, and
Yes.
okay, we
And
did
also and
not
also Lee
really hard
Cabellis
to guessing.
is not yet out. They're 4 games behind Chemnitz, and there's only 4 games to go, but there's still a tie breaker that they can be part of. So Lietkabelis is, even though they don't have the tiebreaker, they lost both games to Chemnitz, but they are not out because they still obviously they still could be in a tiebreaker with Ulm and London. So Lietkabelis is actually not yet out. Round
Yeah,
15.
even with three victory, and we already
Is it expected that they get in? No, but they are not mathematically eliminated like the other two.
and we started to talk about round Group A, and the next round can be really instrumental to maybe all the qualification, to give all the spots, all the playoff spots, because we had like Cedevita against Cluj, for instance, and we have also Jerusalem against Bahcesehir, and not only.
Jerusalem, 11 wins in a row, have an 8-point victory over Bahcesehir in the first game. Cedevita has a 7-point victory, a game over Cluj right now, plus a 7-point victory. So if Cluj win by 8, then they would hold the tiebreaker. To stay in the running in Group A, you have Slask and Aris. Slask at 4-10. If any chance they have to win, Aris at 6-8. They have to win that game. The other side, you have to look at Besiktas and Buducnost. Besiktas 10-4, Buducnost 9-5, with a 3-point victory over Besiktas. And then London, a big game for London at 5-9, hosting Ulm at 6-8. The loser of that game is probably pretty close to being gone. And then I want to throw it out there. Turk Telekom, 9-5. They're going to Greece to play Panionios, and if they don't have their big boy pants on, they could run into the problem of Panionios. Do I think it'll happen? No, but did I think that Panionios would come back and nearly beat Trento? Nope. So yeah, some massive games and then a couple of really interesting ones. Anything else? If not, let people know where they can find you.
Well, they can find me on all the social media as Marco E. Munno, Munno, and mostly on X.
I am at Hein News, HEINNEWS, HEINNEWS, Hein News on Twitter. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the podcast, Gone Traveling. This was episode 17, looking at round 14 of the EuroCup, the BKT EuroCup. We will catch you next week when we look at round 15. We are out.